This is big breaking news. A U.S. congressman has just exposed their plan that has been happening the past few months on the American people. He is exposing this legislation and he is showing us what they're really doing behind the scenes. This is Senator Rand Paul, and he gave this speech the other day on the House or on the Senate floor, exposing this bill that they're trying to pass through quickly behind the scenes. So let's get into all the details here really quick, guys. Please just hit that like and hit that subscribe. I'm posting multiple videos every single day, keeping you guys updated on this big urgent news, and it just helps to get these warnings out. I appreciate that. So he is exposing this legislation that's happening for these drones. Okay, there is potentially a threat going on related to these, but he's also exposing how this legislation is being used to take over communications, right? He's saying it's going to be used to target people's communications that are walking through airports, near airports, live near airports, right? Any of these sensitive areas, live near military bases, all these things, these sensitive zones. It will allow them to collect the personal information and data, the Wi-Fi, all this stuff in these areas, and the phones, because they could potentially be connected to the drones. So I want you to listen to the speech that he gave in Congress just the other day and let me know what you think about this situation here. Listen to this really quick. This is Senator Rand Paul.
The bill before us would grant law enforcement significant authority to intercept private electronic communications without consent. For example, the bill would allow the government to conduct dragnet surveillance of the phones innocent Americans traveling through U.S. airports as long as the government claims they are doing it to neutralize a drone. So in order to look at the information that might be coming to a drone, it may be that you capture all the information of everybody surrounding an airport or everybody who lives near an airport. Once you have all that data, what are the assurances that the government isn't looking at your data in addition to the data that may be related to flying the drone? This is not just about security. It's about unchecked government overreach. It's about capitalizing on fear and media-driven hysteria to jam through sweeping legislation that could violate the civil liberties of American people. Congress has a constitutional responsibility to serve as a check on the executive power, not as a rubber stamp for it. The federal government already has the power to deal with drones. The federal government already has the power to stop any drones that are in airspace around airports. The federal government already has the power to protect its air bases. So if there is a significant problem here, the Biden administration needs to come forward and let us know, who are these drones? Who's operating these drones? What is the federal government doing to protect either airports or bases from this? Instead, we are told by the Biden administration there is no threat to our national security. So let's first insist on truth and transparency from the Biden administration before offering up legislation that is feel good, pat somebody on the back and say, oh, we've done something about drones. We are strong on drones. Congress has a constitutional responsibility to serve as a check on executive power, not as a rubber stamp. We owe it to the American people to demand compelling justification, meaningful safeguards, and full transparency before granting any new surveillance authorities. We are a nation of laws, not fear, not panic, and not manufactured urgency. We do not trade away our freedoms, our privacy, and our constitutional protections for vague promises of security. I will object to this bill today, but I am open to talking with the authors of this bill about how we could have enhanced ability to interrupt drone activity, but done while protecting all Americans' constitutional right to privacy. Madam President, I object.
Okay, so that was Rand Paul, and he really laid it out. And it is a big concern because it's very similar to these other programs, kind of like these dragnet programs, where it's like if you're in the vicinity of certain areas, your phone data, your personal data could get picked up or put into these dragnets and exposed, even if you didn't do anything, just because you were near something that happened, or maybe you were talking to someone with connection to somebody else, like somebody else is talking to somebody that they're not supposed to be, and you just talk to them because they have a pizza shop too, right? And you end up being surveilled for that too, right? These things happen where if you're like degrees away from these investigations and you get put into the dragnet too. And he's saying this is essentially going to happen with drones as well, where their excuse is that they want to be able to track all of these drones, track every single drone, because it has to have some type of signal to communicate with the receiver or with the controller, okay? And they're saying that they need the ability to intercept those signals so they can read the data coming from them. And a lot of these drones are connected to Wi-Fi and things like that, and even personal phones. A lot of these drones you can control them with, okay? So their theory is that you could be dragnetted, this is what Rand Paul is saying, essentially, into these surveillance programs for the drones, even if you're not even flying a drone at all, just because you're in the vicinity of an airport that had this drone incursion. Now everyone at the airport is being investigated to see whose phone or whose networks were, whose signal was connecting to these drones. Okay, so that's essentially what they're saying here, but he's also saying, making good points, where they already have the ability to knock down these drones, which is the big reason why people are wondering why they haven't already. Right? For some reason they really haven't. Until recently, they've authorized deadly force to knock them down in the past week, the US military. They already have the ability to do that, and they also have other technologies that they could use as well too, and could authorize where they could just take over the drone, okay? Instead of just reading the signal, they could jam the signal, take it over, and capture these drones, create new technology for that, and figure out who it belongs to, right? Trace it back that way. There are other ways to go about this and to handle this and to create these new dragnet surveillance programs. So maybe that's the big reason why we've been seeing all this stuff going on, and it's been allowed to happen. Maybe it's just a coincidence and these bills are coming up and people are just like taking advantage of the situation, right? Stuff's happening, people are concerned because they don't know what's going on, so now they're offering the solution, but it's this more surveillance. Okay, that could have been what's going on here, right? Who knows what's going on, but hopefully this bill does not pass, right? Senator Rand Paul is trying to expose it. It didn't go through with this continuing resolution. There was some other drone legislation that went through for Homeland Security that I broke down yesterday in that video, talking about all the stuff in it, but this did not go through, right? So let me know what you guys think down below. Please just hit it up for me down there. It helps to get these warnings out. I hope you guys are staying safe, staying prepared, and stocked up out there. Hope you have big blessings for your life and your family, and I hope you have a big old blessed day.